Hello and welcome. Hope you've had a great week. Sit back, relax, off the bench. Proudly brought to you by the GRV. Get your tab bets on for tomorrow night's semi-finals of the Greyhound Racing feature, the Maturity Classic, and past winners including stars Brett Lee and Tem Lee. Got a big show coming up again. Ros Lanigan will join us a little bit later on with a focus on the Gippsland area. We have another great GRV feature story. We've got the Club Challenge. Much to my disappointment, I got rolled, and I would like to address that a little bit later on with my co-host. And of course, we have the Country Racing Victoria wheel as I introduced the 1997 Cargie Greaves medalist, and that is Liam Pickering. Welcome, Picks.
Good to be here, Swatta. How's your week, old mate?
It was good until last weekend when your dog got up and you absolutely took me to task. I got 400 text messages and 15,000 tweets, and it was one win. Well done.
You're only as good as your last win.
Here we go.
That's all I'll say. And at the moment, it looks like I'm beating you.
Well, I knew my manager through my illustrious football career. I saw him quite regularly. Our special guest played 28 games with the Cats in Port Adelaide. My information is that he never saw you, and without any further ado, that is Jason Davenport. Welcome, Jason. It's great to have you on.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Just clarify the story for the benefit of other people. You got up and spoke at Gary Ablett Jr.'s wedding.
Yeah, there was a brief part of my introduction speech that involved Pickers and maybe.
And what did you say?
Oh, look, it was mentioned that it was finally nice to meet him in person after signing on with him at the time 10 years earlier.
Oh,
unbelievable Picks.
That's harsh.
Unbelievable
you know that's not right. I mean, I breathe life into his lifeless corpse on more than one occasion.
Well, let's talk about your career. 28 games with the Cats in Port Adelaide. Let's have a look at some of your stats too. What are your recollections of your time at the AFL level?
Oh, look, you know, it's one of those things where a lot of people dream about and never get to live it. So to actually play one game, let alone 28, for two really, I guess, history-breaking clubs when we talk AFL, in the context of AFL, it was a great experience. I made some lifelong friends and some great networks, and it's something I'll always be able to reflect on and really be proud of what I was able to achieve.
Do you feel a bit unfulfilled, Jace? Because I obviously thought you were pretty talented and you had all the pace, and we're looking at your stats here, but 28 games, obviously there, that all looks pretty good. We'll get to Northshore in a minute. But you also won a Geelong VFL, best and fairest, and you made the team of the year in the Sandful and the Waffle, in the VFL. Did you feel a little bit unfulfilled as a footballer?
I wouldn't say unfulfilled. I think the reality is, as you mature and start to understand how the world works, you also understand that footy is a business. And being a mature age recruit initially and then going across to Port Adelaide again as a mature age recruit, the position I found myself in there, it was more about a rebuild, and being 25 years old and only a handful of games, it made a whole lot more sense to play some younger kids. You've
gone and coached. It's always a good learning curve because you're still pretty young, and I know you've had a couple of shoulder problems this year, but playing coach at Northshore, how have you enjoyed the challenge of being a coach when you're coaching blokes who are probably as mad as you were when you were playing?
Yeah, it is. You've used the word well. Challenge is exactly that. So, look, we're in a bit of a tight pickle with regards to our last few years as a footy club. Based in the northern suburbs of Geelong, there's been some pretty serious changes to the community around employment and other things. So we're finding ourselves really trying to start from the junior levels up and then look to bring in some young kids to play some senior footy. So hopefully over the next 10 years, we become that sort of successful cog that we were in the competition.
Swatta, this competition's run 37 years. North Shore have won 11 flags.
Yep.
So we have a look now, and obviously you're struggling this year.
First win last week, though, against Lara, which was good.
Yeah, it was. It was a pretty emotional weekend, to be honest, and to get up against Lara, who obviously you can see us both sitting on the bottom there, but the competition itself is obviously, as we see through interleague ratings, is the strongest comp in Victoria.
You've got assistant coaches Ron Watt, who was at Geelong a hell of a long time, and also Bluey McGrath. Now, I know Bluey pretty well, and so does Swatta. We played with him. I can imagine he's pretty much straight down the line. There's no sort of grey area with Bluey.
Bluey's great. I mean, Bluey also at times feels his opinion is factual, but look, I love having Bluey around. His knowledge for the game. He's played on some of the greatest players of all time with regards to his time in the game. You know, guys you play with as well with the Duck and those sorts of likes. So particularly the younger guys that come in, they're a bit overwhelmed by it all. And Bluey, as you know, again, loves to share a story. And he can have you in the palm of your hand very early, but once you sort of spend a bit more time with him, you're like, hang on a second, there might be a bit of mayonnaise on this one. And Ronnie Watt, whether you talk local footy or his impact on the Geelong Cats, now with the Coaches Association, is just a real, a real student of the game, and his knowledge continues to grow. And to have him keeping a close eye on me has been really helpful.
Do you want to go down the track of getting involved long term with the coaching? Do you see this progressing potentially into the AFL?
I sort of talked to my wife about it a little bit, actually, that we're winning minimal games, and for some reason I'm still really enjoying it. And I think the development side of it is where I find a real niche, and I really value relationships and really like to build up. And it's also really important to preach that, you know, footy isn't everything, whether you're playing at AFL level or not. You know, whether you're elite, the window's still very small. So footy, you know, needs to become a priority in life, but it's down the chain a little bit. So to value certain things ahead of footy, and we talk about that constantly and openly as a group at Northshore.
Well, it's sound advice. You've also got a very important event coming up very shortly, because it's the Northshore Hall of Fame dinner, 30th of July.
Yeah, and as Pickers mentioned, look, when you look at our club and the history of the competition, we are, when we talk success, the most successful when you're banking on premiership. So it's going to be a great night for the footy club. We're in a bit of a tough position when it comes to results, and it is a success-driven industry, footy. So the wins have been few and far between the last few years, but events like this, to get around those the stalwarts of the club that brought success to the northern suburbs of Geelong is a really big event. So, you know, make sure we can get along. The players are encouraged to obviously be there, and anyone that's involved in sport in Geelong community will be encouraged to come along.
You've got a great relationship with Gary Ablett. It's just unlucky you played when Gary played, because the reason why you didn't see Pickers was because Pickers was just pampering to everything that Gary needed. So now that I'm glad that we finally brought you two together for the second time in 15 years.
This is what I'm dealing with, Chase. This is what I'm dealing with.
Hey, we're not going to let you go home, though. We're going to give you a $100 voucher thanks to our dear friends at St Goliath Clothing. Got to say, Pix, probably the best looking bloke to have some of the St Goliath gear on. It's streetwear, smart stuff. It's easy to wear style. St Goliath available at Myer and Edge clothing stores nationally. Have a great night with the Hall of Fame dinner, and we wish your club and your coaching career every success for the rest of the year.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for the support. Appreciate it.
There you go, Jason Davenport joining the show. Good to see Pickers finally getting to meet a man that he managed for a long period of his time. When we come back, no, it's not. When we come back, Ros Lanigan's going to join us, and we're going to have a sharp focus on the Gippsland area. Off the bench with more after this. Yeah, welcome back to Off the Bench, proudly brought to you by GRV. Make sure you get your tab bets on for tomorrow night's semi-finals of the Greyhound Racing event, the Maturity Classic. Okay, time now to head around the state. Yes, we do every week. We head around the state with the one, the only Country Footy's First Lady, a little bit of a princess, Ros Lanigan. Welcome back to you.
That's a fair crack. Yeah, great to be here, and we are going to head down to one of my favourite parts of Victoria again, Gippsland. We'll start off with the Alberton Football League, where Fish Creek had an 85-point win over Phillip Island, who are now all but certain to miss the finals this year after making the prelim last season. You'll remember, boys. The Roos booted 5-1 in the opening quarter, extended their lead at every change, and managed to keep Phillip Island to just 1 goal in the second half, so that's not great footy. Justin Smith booted a match-high 5 goals for Fish Creek. Matthew Kremborg added another 4, and Ryan McGannon was best of field. Not much to write home for the Bulldogs here, guys. No multiple goal kickers in the game, and the result means they now sit 7th on the ladder, but 3 games outside the top 6, so you'd think that season is nearly wrapped up for them. Fish Creek and Inverloch Congwack locked on 13 wins apiece at the top of the table, as you can see, with 3 rounds to play ahead of finals, and they'll go head-to-head in round 17 in the game that will decide the minor premiership.
What do they call themselves? The Fish Heads? I don't know. What's their nickname, the Fish Creek boys?
They are the Roos.
The Roos, okay.
And in the East Gippsland Football League, Lindenow. This was a top-of-the-table clash here, Lindenow and Lakes Entrance in round 14, and Lindenow made it look pretty easy in the end. The Cats kicked 6-2 in the first quarter, and they were never headed, and they won by 54 points in the end. Michael Preston booted a match-high 5 goals for Lindenow, but couldn't get a spot in the best, boys. Kane Ashwood kicked 2, and he was named best of field. And it was a pretty ominous result with 4 weeks to play until finals in the East Gippy League. Now, the loss pushed Lakes Entrance, as you can see, from 2nd to 3rd on the table. Lindenow now 4 games clear at the top, but still plenty to prove. They lost the grand final last year, so they'll be very hungry to turn that around this season.
Last time I was in Lindenow, Fevola played, the Fevolution kicked 16.
Yeah.
Just a lazy 16.
Doesn't muck around. Now, in the Tallangatta District Football League, we're going over the hill here. Thurgoona defeated Tallangatta. It was a 10-goal win to Thurgoona in round 14, and most of the difference happened here in the 3rd quarter. The Bulldogs kicked 11 goals to 3 in the 3rd quarter to get that win. Todd Miller and Jacob Bruce were the main destroyers. They kicked 4 each for Thaguna. And Jamal O'Sullivan kicked 3 as well. Now, he usually plays in the ruck, but they pushed him forward this week and that paid plenty of dividends. Now, the result pretty much ends Toolangatta's chances, rather, of playing finals this year after they won the flag last season. So they won't be in the finals. They'll be really disappointed with that. It was the 10th win in a row for Thaguna and keeps them in touch with the top 2 sides with 4 rounds to go to finals. It's a finals 5 system there. And in the Omeo District Football League, the one that will head into finals first, they have 2 rounds to play until the finals start. And Lyndon South's quest for back-to-back flags is well and truly on track. The Swampies actually stitched up the minor premiership a couple of weeks ago with a 303-point win over Omeo Bambara. They do not muck around.
How much?
303 points.
Wow, that's a belting.
Did I see Bucking at the bottom?
Yes, they are at the bottom.
I don't want to say another word because I could go on for hours about that.
We've got our first 100 goal kicker for the season, have we not?
We do, and I didn't expect to have it this week, but we do.
Right.
John Vanwell from Moist and Wollora in the Mininieran District League was on 77 heading into the weekend, so I didn't really
27.
He kicked
23.
He kicked 25 to take his season tally to 102.
That's a big day.
That was the 100th goal right there that you're seeing, and all the boys...
Got around him.
They did get around
He kicked
him.
25.
He kicked 25, 13 matches, an average of 7.85 goals a game. Do you know what? Last year he kicked 16 for the season. So fair to say, I think he might be playing a slightly different role this year.
Okay, let's have a look at the leading goal kicker. So Josh Mellington not far away.
No, and I had him all year tipped as the first to go. Brent Aho from Tallygroupner has come up quite quickly in the last few weeks, so he'll get the 100 again. Probably all those blokes will get the ton, except for Tyler Jones at the bottom there at Moama, who is injured and won't play any further part this season.
Hey, Johnny, well done. Lazy 25 sausages, good effort,
terrific.
100 goals notched up. Hey, what about some GRV news, please, Ros?
Yes, now one of our favourite greyhounds at off the bench, Jezelenko.
You beauty!
Thank you, boys. Will be chasing his 5th straight win in the Sprint Championship final at Sale on Sunday. So good luck to Jezza and his trainer, Terry Marie Morris. And also the Ballarat Greyhound Racing Club will hold its annual Girls' Night Out tomorrow. So if you're in the area, make sure you get on down. It's supporting a good cause. It's the Risk Family Violence Support Group in Ballarat.
I might you give me a tip this week because Pickers' dog got up last week and did the Twitterverse and every media platform know about it. It was all about you, was it?
Well, yeah. your dog, no good. Your
Still
dog's
running.
stuck.
Mine's still
dog's
stuck
great.
in the box. Yeah, all
So,
right.
all good. So what about, have you got some mail for us?
I might have. I'll give it to you.
Help Swatter out.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
I'll help you out.
Yeah, all right. We'll sort this out when we come back. We've got another great GRV feature story, and then the club challenge for me to restore some pride for the Schwass name is up next, and then a little bit later on in the show we have the Country Racing Victoria wheel where Pickers gives it a good rip and we give out prizes to a lucky viewer. Thanks, Ros. We're going to take a break. When we come back, feature story and, of course, the club challenge. Back with more after this. Welcome back to the show, brought to you by GRV. Get your tab bets on for tomorrow night's semi-finals of the Greyhound Racing feature, the Maturity Classic. Time now for another GRV feature story. And Tamika Fasoli is a lady that's involved with the Gippsland Football Club, the under-18 TAC Cup level, but she's also passionately connected to Greyhound Racing. Let's take a look at her story.
So we're on about 100 acres here. We have a kennel block of 25, which is made up of a few race dogs, some brood bitches, have a couple of breakers here as well, and then we rear some pups of our own and rear some pups from other people as well. I love their nature. They all have different personalities. You get your favourites, but normally each one has a different personality, and it's nice to see them when they're born and then breed up and, you know, win a race for you. You know, I work full time, my brother studies a fair bit, mum works full time, so dad's here most of the time on his own, doing yard dogs and stuff, but it's just a team effort. We all just chip in and, you know, help work dogs, let dogs out, feed them. I suppose when I was a little bit younger, I'm a Duke was probably one of my favourites. He was a staying dog that we had that used to love the meadows. Just Push On would have to be one of my favourites, being my first winner. I suppose of recent times, That's About Me. It's one of our family favourites. He won a few races at Sale. He won his last race when he was 5.5 years old. So yeah, he's just recently retired. And then I suppose, you know, we've got some up and coming pups, Walk On By, and That's probably one of my favourites. I work at an aged care facility and they named him, and each week they get the paper looking for him to race, so he's probably my favourite at the moment.
Today we're at Trevor Barker Oval, Sandringham, playing the Sandringham Dragons. Really great game, terrific environment to play, great ground to play at. Some of the boys have travelled 3 and 4 hours to get here today, and really having a really good crack.
I joined Gippsland Power when I moved back from South Australia end of 2014, so I've been involved there. Last year there was 3 physios, so we all sort of shared a bit of the role and I got to know how things went, and then end of October last year Pete offered me the physio role for the head of the new Youth Girls Academy, so taken that on board, and then this year one of our physios left, so there's just 2 of us who are doing the under-15s, under-16s and under-18 boys. So. She's
really bubbly around the club. We find her absolutely terrific. The boys, really engaging with her. She's just a really great person. From time to time, we get a few tips that when greyhounds are going to win or have got a really good chance, they're not eating pies or anything that night. So, no, she does. She gives us a little bit of tip from time to time, but she really does love her greyhounds, that's for sure. And she's there feeding them all the time and doing all the things, the training and all that you've got to do with the dogs.
You have your locals that are involved in footy. There's not really anyone else at Gippsland Power, but they've seemed to taken it on board, because sometimes I haven't been able to go to the footy because I've been off to the dogs, and Lee Brown and some of the other staff there have taken it on board.
Sport in general goes hand in hand, so I'm sure there's a lot of people that love greyhounds like Tamika does, love football as well, and get involved, especially at country football level.
Sure, it's something I'll always be involved in. Most people dream to win a group race, which is something that would be nice, but it's more about seeing the pups that we breed from little day old to get up and win some races is pretty much what we're after. Got a litter of pups that have just turned 14 months old, so hopefully we can get a few winners out of them.
Yeah, great story there. Well done, Tamika, and love the fact that they're obviously heavily involved with Greyhound Racing and training Pickers, but also very closely aligned to the Gippsland Power Football Club, which Lee Brown's doing a pretty good job given the challenging circumstances they have to face, especially with distance that players and people have to travel.
Well, it is, and that's where I guess the North Ballarats and the Gippsland Powers and the like have got a little bit at a disadvantage to the city clubs, because they're coming from everywhere. But they produced some really good players under Brownie, and he's doing a really good job. So last year they had the Mackay boys, Joshy Dunkley from down there last year. They'll have a kid that'll go, I think, top 5 in Ben Ainsworth, who'll go in this year's draft. Young Kyle Dunkley's coming through next year's group. So, he's developing young players, but unfortunately, it ebbs and flows a little bit. And as I say, they've got a little bit of a disadvantage because of the travel.
And if you go back a generation, the names like Pendlebury, Dale Thomas, Jared Blair are some of the famous names that have come through that rich footballing area. So well done to Tamika. Great story there. Pickers, much to my disappointment, it is back on this week. And we do it every week, and we'll continue to do it every week for the rest of the year. You are smiling because you let me know in no uncertain terms that your dog name last week...
Lucky Tetris. Lucky for some.
We won, we, because I contributed.
Well, no.
How much cash? $1,800
for the Linden House South Football Netball Club. So that's a fantastic performance. Let's hope you can lift this week, because who are we playing for?
There we go. It's Russells Creek Footy and Netball Club down in the Warrnambool District Football League. So
That's your hood.
They get $1,000 cash, irrespective of whether or not you and I can tip a winner. I've got to redeem myself. So my selection this week, race number 8 is what we're competing in. Allen Lottery, box number 2, my favourite number, and Pickers, just to let you know, it's drawn well, obviously, and it's won 6 of its 10 wins from inside boxes.
Well, I'm going against you, obviously, with Bombora Flash, and whilst I'm in the squeeze box at number 4, 1, 2 of the last 3 starts, and... watch for him down the outside. Though he's in the squeeze, but he won't go rail.
Right.
Bombara will go down the outside and he'll come swooping home, and I think you'll get the chockies.
You've had one win and you are talking like you are Dr. Turf, who knows everything about racing in any format. Hey,
you're only as good as how you talk, let's be honest.
We're going to take a break. Our dogs will run this weekend in Ballarat. When we come back, final wrap of the show after the break. 2016 Off the Bench brought to you by GRV. Get your tab bets on tomorrow night, semi-finals of the Greyhound Racing feature, the Maturity Car Classic. When we come back, we'll wrap the show up. Off the Bench with more after this. It's our favourite part of the show, the Celebrate at the Country Races wheel, with lots of goodies to be won each and every week. And the major prize, a $2,500 marquee package at the Kilmore Cup later this year, and that'll be drawn on our grand final eve show. But we need contestants in order to spin the wheel each and every week, so get your entry in, and all the information about celebrating at the country races at countryracing.com.au.
Yes, favourite part of the show, of course, is the wheel, and this week we're playing. The lucky contestant is Lorna McDougall from Malakuta, so good luck to you, Lorna.
Come on, Pix,
it's going to be a real big spin today.
Good rip. Nice spin, nice spin. Feeling lucky. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, spin again. Darren Galley from Country Racing Victoria almost fell off his chair.
Not far away though, Lorna. I'll give you another go.
Come on, Pix. $1,000. Yeah! Oh, close. $150 CRV online hospitality voucher.
Not
Well
bad.
done, Lorna. Well done, Pix.
Good.
Now time for the William Hill odds for 4 big matches, please, Pix. That's all thanks to William Hill Online Racing Sports Betting. William Hill, far easier betting.
Let's have a look at the Cats for taking on the Adelaide Crows. A bit too short, the Cats, but I still will tip them.
Yep.
Down there at Geelong. I don't think they'll lose again. Dogs will beat St Kilda, who are showing some really nice form, but I think the Dogs are a real top four sort of chance this year, Swatter.
Yep.
Essendon, first time of the year, they'll be favourites against anybody. $1.55. I might take them though. Brisbane are going like bastards.
Yep.
And Hawthorn $1.10. Yeah, well, they should get the job done against the
What about the
disappointing
Brownlow?
Richmond.
Done deal?
Danger, he looks hard. He looks done. He looks home.
Yep.
Only one that I'd give you a chance. Rough odds. Sam Mitchell. That's for mine. At $17.
I'll tell you what,
Swatter.
Dusty Martin's having a fair year too.
Yes,
Couldn't
he
get
is.
3 votes from Mark McClure the other week when he absolutely slaughtered it. Well done, Pix. Well done, Rods. Well done, Jason Davenport for joining us. Have a great weekend off the bench. Back same time next week. See you then.